Hearing it.
All right. Okay. This is part one of our series of talk show host collaborations. I have the privilege of welcoming to focus on Liberia distinguished gentlemen. We are still waiting one more of our guests. One guest is the talk show host collaborations. I'm your host, Dennis Jah. My co-host, Danielle Knuckles, is off today. And so I want to welcome from the Emmanuel Savice show, Mr. Emmanuel Savice from Edmonton, Canada. Emmanuel, welcome to Focus on Liberia.
Thanks there, Dennis. It's nice to be on Focus on Liberia. Thank you for the invitation.
And from the UK, Mr. Max A. Mixer. He's Max Karpilee, aka Max A. Mixer. Max, he's the host. He's the host of the Max K Show. Max, welcome to Focus on Liberia.
It is a pleasure, and I'm so happy. Actually, it's a traditional kissing name. It's Max Pacquiao, K-P-A-K-I-O, Pacquiao.
Max Pacquiao, welcome to Focus on Liberia.
Thank you very much, and thanks for the invitation. It is my pleasure, and hope that we're going to have a great exchange tonight.
Also from the Hard Truth, all the way from Minnesota, we have Mr. Kollie. Chief Kollie, welcome to Focus on Liberia.
Thank you very much, and I appreciate the invitation.
Also from the Hard Truth is from the state of New Jersey, Mr. David Karpilee. David Karpilee, welcome to Focus on Liberia.
Thank you so much, Dennis, and I say thank you. It's my pleasure to be here this evening to give my view on those issues that you will want us to talk about.
Later on, we'll be joined, hopefully, by Mrs. Jessica. They call her Lady J. She's the host of Everything Liberia. So let's begin by way of brief introduction. We have the spotlight on Mr. Emmanuel Savice. Mr. Emmanuel Savice is he's the host of the Emmanuel Savice Show, or the LTC Live Electrifying Hour, which is live via Hot FM 107.9 in Monrovia and also TV channel 12 in Liberia. Mr. Savice is the father of 6 children, a husband, an advocate, a CEO, humanitarian general manager. He has a bachelor degree in arts and communication from the University of Canada West. Mr. Savice, welcome to Focus on Liberia.
Thank you, Janice. I appreciate that. Thank you so much. Glad that I'm part of this discussion today.
We want to go to the Hard Truth, Mr. Kollie. They know him as Chief Kollie. His expertise is in education. He's being employed by the American National Insurance Group. He's a loving father and educator himself, a businessman. Currently, Mr. Kollie is studying his PhD, that's a Doctor of Philosophy in Public Policy and Global Leadership at Wharton University. Chief Kollie, welcome to Focus on Liberia.
Thank you very much, Dennis, and I appreciate the rest of our guests in here.
Mr. David Karpilee is also part of the Hard Truth. He is there in New Jersey. Mr. Karpilee is also an advocate for social justice, he calls himself. And Mr. Karpilee, welcome again to Focus on Liberia.
Thank you so much, and thank you for this opportunity once more. And I'm happy to be among these distinguished people. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Last but not the least is Mr. Maxime Pacquiao, aka Max Mixer. He was born in Foya district and grew up in, he was born in Foya. He grew up in Monrovia, attended the Matador Newport, the famous Matador Newport Junior High School, I should add, and also graduated from Ware Heston High School in 1994. He attended Media Training Center, and he got trained in print and electronic media. In 1997, he worked for the Pepperborough newspaper and as a freelancer in Monrovia. In 2005, he graduated from Swansea University, that's in the United Kingdom, where Mr. Pacquiao resides. In 2017, he graduated from the University of Wales, Trinity St. David, studying education. He got a graduate degree in education. Mr. Pacquiao has worked for the Home Office in United Kingdom for the city and the county of Swansea, the British Red Cross, the UK Driving and Vehicle Licensing Agency, the Global Africa Radio, Radio Liberia, and now a boss for Media Radio International. He's also an author. He wrote the book, Police Officers Are Friends, Not Strangers. And it's a textbook for the second and third graders in Liberia. He's also the founder and CEO of Wales Liberia Connect, founder and CEO of Maxine Pacquiao Educational Foundation. He's a father also with 4 kids. Gentlemen, it's my pleasure once again to welcome all of you to Focus on Liberia.
Indeed, my pleasure from my end.
All right. We thought that all talk show hosts, but when I watch all of you, I watch your shows and we see the passion for our country, Liberia. That's the common denominator. So we at Focus on Liberia, we thought it expedient that we all come together and discuss Liberia. First, let's begin with some history of your show. I know you guys are doing extremely well with your show. So let's discuss first the history and purpose of your show. Let me start with you, Mr. Savice, to give us a brief history of the Emmanuel Savice show and why you decided to do a show.
Thanks, Dennis. First, we started as the Liberian Trust Communication chat room. We started on the internet where we have over 230,000 Liberians. This is actually the second biggest platform on the internet behind the Costa show. And then we went on to start doing LTC Live, Electrifying Hour, in which we started discussing things from our dear country. And we thought it wise to move on to have a radio station in Liberia. We were not given our frequency at the time, so we started collaborating with Hot FM 107.9 and our TV channel 12 so that we can be able to air our voices there in Liberia. The reason why we are on the radio and TV and especially on the internet is because we care about country. We want to advocate against the ills of society, and we believe our voices will make a difference. That's why we established the Trust Communication and our voices in Liberia on Hot FM 107.9 and TV channel 12 as well.
Thank you. Let me go to you, Mr. Max Nixer, Max A. Missa.
Yes, indeed. Thank you. Thanks again, Dennis, and thanks to my colleagues as well who have agreed to actually share the platform tonight to discuss Liberia, Mama Liberia in particular. Well, for me, actually, with respect to how the information you just passed, with respect to my bio, I'm a journalist, a trained journalist, and I've been doing bit and pieces in terms of what media relations have to do. And so since I came here in 2003, actually, I started the advocacy when I came here, and just about 2 years after when the war on Iraq was just about to start. And having experienced and gone through a kind of challenges during the civil war in Liberia, in which as a young person growing up for 10 years, I spent in Monrovia. It was in the midst of the civil war. In fact, just to let you know, I did graduate by 1994 already. We know already in the war. So my graduation was even in the midst of civil war, although it was still far away from Liberia. But then when I came here, I later on in 2000, before the war in March 2003, there was this, plan for the UK and the United States of America to take war on the Iraqi people. And a lot of British people came together and said, no, we don't want war to go there. So before then, I have done 1 or 2 interviews with BBC television here. And so, I kind of for like a flight. So people contacted me to go and give a talk. So I started participating in protests and giving talks, and then standing against the war and giving my reasons why it's not prudent for the UK or the USA to go to war, let's say to go and wage war on the Iraqi people. And so from that moment, then I I I just developed the interest in terms of advocating for those that are voiceless, talking on behalf of those that perhaps do not have the ability or do not or cannot stand the chance of actually voicing out for themselves or for the community. And then from there, started engaging the constructively with government officials through my representatives here in the United Kingdom on issues of national concern, in which, of course, sometimes when it pops up and I say, no, this is it shouldn't go this way. I will write my representative as a means of protest and say, look, this thing, it shouldn't be like this, it should be that way or whatsoever. So since then, up to the time I started the radio with Global Health Week. I was just involved into humanitarian service and I was involved into advocacy as well. So starting radio station now, radio station work in the UK here with Global Afrique, owned by Liberians in the United States. I mean, actually, it just beat my ego in terms of what I need to do, in terms of how I need to send the message out there. So that increased my chance in terms of the advocacy. And on from there, Radio LIB, and of course now the Boss Media Radio Institution. The whole aim is that, since God is telling me that perhaps I feel the way that God gave me the gift. The gift is to talk. The gift is to advocate for social justice, to ensure that indeed wherever we are, in whatever state we are, we all should be somehow equal. And nobody should look down on another person because of their status in society. So I saw it as a motivation to do the work. And because of perhaps the reception I've been receiving from people who followed me, who listened to me as well, I decided to just continue the work. So it's a pleasure to be here tonight. And I hope once again, we're going to have a frantic discussion here about our country, Liberia.
Thank you for what you do. Let me go to the hard truth. Mr. Karpilee, why you started the hard truth and what's the short history behind it?
First of all, let me say thank you again, and I'd love to say thank you to my listeners and to the listening audience of this beautiful show. David Karpilee has a humble background. He has a degree in economics from the United Methodist University. I have been advocacy, not just advocating, but in getting involved with community organization and pushing forward for social justice. As a student in college, I was involved in student leadership. At my time at the United Methodist University, between 2008 and 2012, I had this encounter with a couple of issues, but two picked my attention. One was about a lady from Lofaka, Kollie, that was murdered in cold blood, and the perpetrators were allegedly people that were in higher authority, so they were like untouchable. And if you search online, you will find a piece that I wrote and the action that all of us took to make sure that the perpetrators were brought to justice. Another one was Little Injure Tupa. Little Injure Tupa was that kid that went to the St. Matthew United Methodist High School in Loki Town. Little Injure Tupa was murdered by a person that she was entrusted to. And she was also sexually abused. And I was one of those voices in the student community, in the youth and student community in Liberia, that part and worked along with other youth organizations to call for justice for Little Injure Tupa. The records are there. Moving forward, when we've been in political advocacy for years, we've not been on the earth for long. I always told people, but we have been here for long to be part of decision-making processes. So in 2016, after we've done sufficient research and after we've understood the political landscape of our country, looking at the challenges that we faced at the time, we came up to say, okay, you know what, George Weah was not the best option. So we initiated the Never Weah movement. We canvassed so much until the election went the way it went, because the Liberian people bought what they bought. Then came the closure of the Never Weah movement that gave birth now to the hard truth. Since then, we have taken real hard issues. We have looked at people in the faces and tell them the real truth. One of those issues, in fact, matter of fact, two issues have come up, and every time we take a really good position, people pack us with one issue. First of all, was the issue of going to New York. When we said no, that was not, in our opinion, a thing that we wanted to do, because going there and pulling strings was not the best option at that time. And people came up and said, George Weah gave us money, for example. Now, that came and passed. We are people that believe in nothing else but the truth. Not just that, the issue of this quote-unquote Katie Matter came up.
And Mr. Karpilee, we're gonna delve into those issues.
We coming there. We did our investment. Again, we took a position. Now they talk with 25,000. They say we got that. But let me say something. I am the original founder of the Christian Youth Federation of Liberia. I just don't talk the issues, but I help and want to work to solve the problem. We raise thousands of dollars to work with disadvantaged people, disadvantaged students. Because our thing is, David Karpilee and his philosophy, I am not that person that believes in giving people faith. Right. I am that person that wants to teach people how to faith. So if you are sufficient, you can be able to help yourself.
Thank you.
So I am big when it comes to developing a mind, because the mind is the most dangerous thing, I think, to waste. So moving forward, this is where we are, and we are committed to this till death. Thank you.
Thank you. And we'll come to, when we come back to the hard truth, then David, Chief Kollie, we can bring you in. Let me go back to Max, because most of the time we hear that people are just on internet, you are just on internet, who's listening to you and all that kind of thing. So just tell me, what has the impact be of your show? I know you started this, and you told us the history. So let me start with you, Max. What has the impact been of you having the Max and Mixer show?
Well, thank you once again. The impact is it has to do. We get the result from our listening audience. On the Max K Talk show, let me deal with that first of all. We do not only advocate, but we create a platform where we can invite people to talk on issues, on the social issue, on political issue, environmental issue, rights as well. And on the political, or let's say on environmental issue, for example, on several times we've been talking about climate change here, where most of the time, sometimes one of our guests will be in Kenya, another one will be in Nigeria, another one will be in the USA, and we deliberate and actually debate on the environment and how we all can handle it for the betterment of all of us as far as the climate change is concerned. On social issue as well, sometimes we invite government officials, including lawmakers, especially in the past government. I used to have lots of them on my show here. Every time I invite them for us to talk about Liberia, I will have senators here, I will have representatives here, and we will talk on issues and that affect Liberia as well. So in terms of impacts from that perspective, after starting the show, and then once you give invitation to people and the way you receive them, and some people will be so eager to come on your show, that shows you that indeed your show is making a huge impact. So the Max K Talk show, which started with Global Africa Radio, and then Radio LIB, and now Boss Media Radio International, has been in existence for a long time now. And because of that, we are well known. And this is why when we extend an invitation to a guest, irrespective wherever they are, including presidents or vice presidents or so, they will always, have eager to come on our show and to come and share with us. And we also invite educators as well as people who are in the professional backgrounds to come here and share their stories, and also be able to teach us. On the Max K Talk show, we also include things like gospel discussion, where we invite men and women of God also we come up with a topic and we invite them to come and teach us as well. So based upon those results that we get from them, the equality of us, somebody wanting to come on the show, we feel that we are making a huge impact as well. And we saw it during Madam Ellen Johnson Sirleaf's time. We didn't shut our mouth. We were talking and we're inviting people to talk about issues and things. Based on the pressure, when the TRC issue came out, we started asking about the TRC. Where is it? We talked about it in the Akosombo Accord, and it was agreed upon that we should have the TRC. Where is it? We started asking questions until then, before the commission was actually decided upon by the madam to set up the commission and mandated the commission to conduct investigation also. So in that case, we also saw it as a result, and we started asking now we got it, but what can we do with it? So indeed, to answer your question, indeed, we have seen the impact, and we are still continuing to do our work as the way we are mandated to do.
If you are just joining us, this is Focus on Liberia. We are hosting some talk show hosts. You see, we have Max Mixer from the Max K Show. We have Mr. Emmanuel Savice from the Emmanuel Savice Show. We have Chief Kollie and David Karpilee from the Hard Truth. We are still expecting Lady J from Everything Liberia. Let me go to you, Mr. Emmanuel Savice. Before we even get to your impact, what are your goals for the show, both short-term and long-term? And then we can talk about the impact based on those goals that you've set.
Well, what are my goals? The first goal that has been prioritized here by me on the show is War and Economic Crimes Court. As you know, Dennis, we fought war. It's been 28 years since the first bullet was fired in Liberia. I can no longer underestimate the impact of that civil war. And in fact, other civil wars follow, including the infamous World War I, World War II, and World War III. The rebels that killed over 250,000 people are the one leading our country now. We have been able to elect Charles Taylor, Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, and of course, we have elected some of them at the level of representative and senator. Prince Johnson, George Bully are just some of the examples that we speak about in this issue. So the short-term goal, and I know War Crimes Court is something that is on the mind of every Liberian, especially diaspora Liberians as well, because we were affected. We left our country, we came somewhere else, even though life seemed much better. But we still want to go back home. You ask many Liberians, they want to go back home. And then when you look into Liberia, you see what's going on. You see how government is affecting the people. You see how policies are just so bad to the extent that the people don't seem to benefit. There is no health care. In fact, life basic necessity just disappear. And when you look at the Civil War in 1989, when it started, 1990, these people came to end corruption, to improve the lives of Liberians. And it's just turning the opposite. It's getting from bad to worse. So we at LTC Live, or the Emmanuel Savice Show, we want to make sure that we take a step. And that's why you see, Dennis, we will be going to Liberia soon. The Emmanuel Savice Show is one of the sponsors of the November 12th March. I'm not sure if you've heard about it. We've got the Coalition for Justice, a bigger international organization that is also supporting it. And we have other international partners and, of course, some local ownership. So I will be in Liberia personally, campaigning for War and Economic Crimes Code, where we are going to march to memorialize the death of 250,000 people. We're going to end up at the SKD, and we're going to be demanding War and Economic Crimes Code from our government. That's exactly what I would like to see happen. And the second thing, let me just tell you, I spelled the beans out today right here on your show. We're going to be suing the government of the Republic of Liberia. And we're going to be suing them because the government of the Republic of Liberia over the past 12 years, going into the George Weah's administration, have been able to use our budget, which is just below $600 million, whereas $86 or $87 million is being used for recurrent expenditure, which we think is wrong for the Liberian people. That's why you see healthcare has not been improved. That's why you see our educational system is messed up. We want to put an end to government officials like representative making $15,000, senator making 20,000. We also want to go to court and make this government to understand that we are watching how they are making corruption legal in the country. As a matter of fact, tomorrow we'll be talking about salaries in government, especially when it comes to the national legislature. $36 million have been awarded them by the George Weah's administration. We believe here on the Emmanuel Savice show that it's a battle system. You give them what they want, and then they can pass loans like the Ibomaf loan or the Elton financing loan, even though those loans are dead on arrival. But these are the things that we're going to be fighting for. And I know many Liberians in the diaspora or in the opposition will laugh at what we're doing. Like, how do you sue the government, the judiciary, the legislature, the executive? They're all together. Our democracy asks for them to be separated. There should be separate branch of government. So we're going to do these things. We're not just going to sit here in Edmonton and talk and talk and talk. We're going to go there. We're going to start an advocacy that we expect to be away from political parties, because all of the advocacy that you've seen in Liberia, Dennis, is all about somebody trying to make LP Bus Bromskin president, trying to make a Unity Party or Joseph Yuma Boaka president, or just one of you, George Manu, everybody. There is no advocacy out of politics, and that's what the Emmanuel Savice show wants to bring to our local politics in Liberia, because at the end of the day, we are fighting for something that political parties will use the plight of Liberians and say, this is what we want to fight for. And once they win elections, they don't care about the people anymore, evidenced by the George Weah's administration, in which he campaigned with his surrogates that they want justice and accountability. And right after assuming power, they don't care about it. So that's our short-term goal. Fight for war and economic crimes, fight to bring government salaries, government official salary down. And in fact, taking those individuals, especially those in charge of our resources, to court. That's what we're going to be doing here shortly in November.
Thank you. Let me go to you, Mr. Chief Kollie and the Hard Truth. Where do you intend to take the Hard Truth, and what has your impact been?
Well, thank you very much. And I want to say thank you to our many listeners out there. The Hard Truth, first, like David Karpilee stated initially, we have always emphasized on saying the truth and nothing else but the truth.
Excuse me, Chief Kollie, please lower your phone, the one you're watching, so that we don't have that feedback.
I'm sorry for that.
That's okay. Okay.
It should be okay now.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. So firstly, we've usually been involved in advocacy on the social media, and we actually look at
we're still getting the feedback.
Still getting the feedback.
Is it okay? Is it okay? You still getting feedback?
Yes, we do.
I'm actually hearing him very loud and clear, and I'm not getting any feedback. But
all right, go ahead, Chief Kollie.
Okay. So like unlike other talk who are preparing for hosting, establishing TV and radio station or becoming journalists and stuff, we remain on the advocate side, and we remain committed to bringing the truth to the Liberian people. We are not interested in establishing a radio station, radio TV station, and we are not in a popularity game. All our interest is bringing the truth to the Liberian people and issues of national growth and development. I like to the mass, and part of our aim is to bring up community leaders, community on the social media, to bring us social media. Like my comrade David Karpilee and I, we work so hard. We bring a lot of peers, a lot of volunteers on the social media when it comes to publicity. I have background in information management and social media. So I use that background to do publicity on the other side of the Hard Truth. So when we see a new leader or a new social advocate on the social media or political advocate, What we do is David Karpilee and I have a quick discussion with Lucky. I think we see light in this person. Let's go ahead and promote them. Let's go ahead and we start to share their live show on your platform, give them that boost. So, like I said, our long-term goal is to see Liberia a better place. Our desire is the establishment of economic walk around Liberia initially after the election. Even now we had a closed meeting and we came up with our initial plan to carry on our activities in Liberia. We found out most Liberians found interest in the establishment of economic walk around and another path. So we decided to promote and support the process. So we have a lot of goals. We believe education. We done scholarship funds where we personally take our own money and our students in Liberian high schools, universities. We do not call the names of our beneficiaries for their privacy, but we are involved in education programs. Presently, we are also on a charity process where we are attacking the United States and other places and the basis to communities that we've never lived in, that we've never entered. Our entire desire is to see Liberia progress and to see Liberia for tomorrow, so that our children and our can have a better society to live. There are a lot, but I will leave the rest to David Karpilee, on that work together.
Thank you. And Mr. David Karpilee, we lost him, and he's David. You have to go back and log in the same way you logged in before. And then we can have you. Okay. David, are you there now? All right. So, Mr. David Karpilee, what are some of the issues that you discussed on the Hard Truth? And again, what has been your impact?
Huge impact when it comes to dispensing information to the people. Let me tell you, at this point, even don't show face for a day or two, we have our people that will be coming to make sure that we are okay to get into work. Our country, at all times, need us more than ever before. And we do not intend to sabotage that trust given us by our people. Like Chief Kollie rightly stated, we keep to this debate to make sure that help our country become a better place. You ask what impact? We are reaching a very huge audience every day. We are educating our people about social, economic, and political issues. Not just that, tons of the people you see advocating today, they came by way of the Hard Truth. They were not by way of the Hard Truth, and they are making significant impact on the social media. Moving forward, let me say this. Our country has come a long way. And one of the biggest problems we've had has always been information dissemination. So the Hard Truth platform is reaching people in their bedrooms, people in their living room, people in their workplaces, people all over the world. We are connecting people and places. We are bringing issues that matters. Now, how do we come up with position on issue? We look at the pros. Are you getting me?
Yeah.
We look at the pros, we look at the cons, we look at things that matter. Now, when something pops up, we ask ourselves, how can we impart this particular discussion and not be biased to the discussion? Like I was trying to bring issues that is really burning. You said we'll get to it. I don't know if it is the right time to get to it.
We'll get to it.
The Hard Truth has become one of the critical voices. And on the Hard Truth, we have stated over and over that we do not want anybody to fail, but we want a unique family that will become trustworthy. The issue we have today
is how people understand the discussion, how they accept it, appreciate it, and they are willing to take the truth. You know, Liberia, we have a country where everybody say, they are not going to look for the facts. They are not going to investigate. But the hard truth is that platform that is giving voice to many people. We are making people to have interest into the discussion. And that is what we stand for. So we are more than grateful. Let me tell you something. Economic, politically, socially,
I will come back to you, David.
Digesting those topics that matter to our people.
Thank you. And I'm going to you. If you are just joining us, this is a focus on Liberia. We are discussing with some talk show hosts. This is part 1 in a 3-part series, hosting the host. We are collaborating, all talk show hosts are collaborating on this forum so that we can talk about Mama Liberia. Again, I have Mr. Max Mixer Max Mixer. He's the host of the Max K Show. We are awaiting Lady J for Everything Liberia. We have Mr. Emmanuel Savice of the Emmanuel Savice Show and LTC Live, and also David Karpilee and Chief Kollie from The Hard Truth. Mr. Mixer, let me go back to you. And what are some of the issues that you discussed on your show, and what has been the feedback from your guests and the audience that listen to you?
All right, I think in that case, I will have to definitely repeat myself. We, like I said, we talk on the issue that has to do with social responsibility. As far as we, as human beings existing on this planet is concerned, we try to discuss education so that at least people can be aware of the importance of education. That's why we don't only sit and discuss. We invite whoever will have some kind of a professional background in the area to come and talk to us on political issues as well. When things are going on, we invite somebody from the political perspective to come and talk to us. So we engage them, engage our people through professional, somebody who has a professional background in a certain discipline, and so that when they are talking, the facts will come from there. And based upon that, before they even come, if we develop a topic to talk about it, for example, if we are talking about education and we bring it down, we narrow it down to Liberia in particular, we make our research in terms of what we are covering. If we're talking about early childhood education, then definitely we'll make our research and find out as to maybe 40 years ago, how has it been? What has been the challenges? And how has these challenges overcome in the past or so? And what are the way forwards and things? So these are some of the areas that we try to cover when we are discussing issues. And the Masquerade Talk Show, actually, let's be very frank, which started many years ago, was primarily let's say on the radio station and engaging on this thing, which of course later gave birth to the Social Justice Forum now that we've been running now since February this year, the Social Justice Forum, where in fact we found the expedient that, look, you know why? It is now time now to actually go by what the Archbishop in Emeritus of South Africa, Desmond Tutu, said, that if you are neutral in situation of injustice, you have chosen the side of the oppressor. And so we have decided that, look, on the Justice Forum Liberia platform, we are not going to sit and be neutral in what is happening in the land, especially as far as Liberia is concerned. Whatever it is happening, whatever that is taking place there, we have the voice that we want to voice out. We want to raise out those concerns. That if it's almost like a check and balance stuff that we do. That, look, yesterday you promised, maybe we put it in this context. You promised us that you were going to do this yesterday, but unfortunately you haven't done it. And then we try to remind you, and we bring you to book about it. So only Justice Forum show, we cover a whole lot where we campaign for individual, we campaign for social justice, we campaign for a change, and a change that will bring betterment to each and every one. So that's how actually we do it here.
Mr. Savice, the same question.
Yes, sir.
What are besides the War and Economic Crime Court, what else do you talk about, and what is the feedback you're getting?
We talk about issues that are affecting our society. Just like Max said, we do the same. We invite government officials. We speak to them. We speak to ordinary Liberians about what is going on in our country. As you are aware, we have our economy on a slope at this moment, and that's one place that no government in the world will be able to fool citizens. And in Liberia, sadly, we have ours on a slope at the moment. So those are the kind of things we talk about, the ills of society, how we can try and improve our country. So generally, we talk about our country, and we also try to educate Liberians to be able to advocate away from political parties, because most advocates are interested in politics. Most advocates are interested in political position, either having some sort of favor from a political party that is in opposition or the one that is already existing, because some advocates feel like, in the next 6 years, we're going to get rid of George Weah, and this is our time. We want to get away from that kind of advocacy, the advocacy of hope from the advocates itself. That's what we're talking about. Advocacy in Liberia itself need to be advocated. If you look at what's happening right now, we have advocates that are all politically aligned with political parties. And one of the things that we have always had problems here with is the fact that people have not been able to place the Emmanuel Savice show in a particular political party. One moment you hear people say, oh, Emmanuel Savice is sedition, because during elections, we're reporting nothing but the facts that George Weah was winning the elections, and you start to hear something different from all other people. So we do these things because we want to make sure that the truth out of Liberia reach our people. And look and think about this, Dennis. You may not understand the impact of the war. Right now in Liberia, the youngster, those 18, 19, 20, 21 years old, those are the people that we really need to find a system to educate them. Depending on government to do that is a good thing, because it's their responsibility. But government has never been able to do that, not past, not present. And that's why you see these people making a lot of bad decisions. So the Emmanuel Savice show educate youngsters about their rights, their democratic rights, about looking back to history, talking to them. As a matter of fact, on our last broadcast where we had even Max, my colleague Max on the show as well, there was an individual, only 23 years old, that was invited to the show to express himself, the disappointment of all the youth that make wrong decisions in Liberia, especially when it comes to our elections. Now we know why they're being kept uneducated, because politicians depend on these people to make decisions for them. So the Emmanuel Savice show, we're going to work with all these people, and that's why I've committed myself to this. I've committed myself, and I told my family I'll be in Liberia at least every 5 months now, so that we can be able to work with all of these people, so that we can get away from political party and start a movement, and a movement that won't be away from politics, a movement that will not be trying to make somebody representative or senator, but a movement that we will be represented and respected as citizens of Liberia with power inherent in us.
Let me go to you, the hard truth, because Mr. Savice touched on a very important point, which is advocacy that kind of, and people or talk show hosts, some are aligned with some political parties, especially you, hard truth, David, and Chief Kollie. You were a member of the Never Weah movement, and I believe you were also aligning with Vice President Boakai in the elections. How do you transition from that Never Weah movement, or being a campaigner or a part of the Joseph Boakai campaign, to an advocacy? Or how do people see you? Do they see you leaning this way or that way based on the outcome of the elections? Your response.
Well, I will first just start with that, the issue of the Never Weah movement, and transitioning to that of support, or giving our support to Ambassador Joseph Boakai. We did not take any political affiliation directly with a political party during the process of the campaign, and we want to distance ourselves from that. And first, during the campaign process, I remember we made it clear that whoever candidate or whichever party made it to the runner against Ambassador George Weah, now President of the Republic of Liberia, we were going to give them our overwhelmed support. We had no limit to who we would support, but we said we just did not want to George Weah president. It was not based on personal hate for Weah. It's just because of the fact that we had the ideology and the belief. We had a system of ideas put together. We did our own background. We did our own research. We found out, the result of our research told us that George Weah was not the best choice for Liberia. Unfortunately for us, the Liberian people made a decision. But now, in the process, there's a key issue that I want to touch base on. My fellow colleague in the studio who was here, Emmanuel Savice, stating that he reported based on facts during the election. We, the Never We Are movement at the time, took a serious exception of the reports that were placed out on the social media by Emmanuel Savice. And I'm not going to bite and blow because the both of us are on live here, and I don't want to bring that up. Emmanuel Savice was reporting based on sentiment and were based off information that were not even in the possession of the national election, but it was information that we received a secret video from the CDC chat room that these were results that they were going to use for George Weah to win 14 counties. That was when Liberty Party was still in court. When they had a discussion, I still had a video. I have that video now in my possession. And reports from that video was exactly what Emmanuel Savice was releasing. Not report from the National Election Commission. That shows that he was giving information to appease the mind of people who might go against the result that would come up because the result was not fair. We all know it. So coming out today and telling the public that he was reporting based on facts, these were even the National Election Commission did not report based on polling places and counties. They gave us one big result because they knew there was something they were trying to hide under their sleeves. Emmanuel Savice was giving breakdown of those reports that were not even on the net website, and it was not even out there to the public because this was a documentary they had on a stick on a pen drive they were using as a means to cajole the public. So we will not accept that, even though we are not in campaign mood, but we have to be realistic in an issue. So I will lay that to rest and let's move on with other things. But I will tell you, we no form were attached or sponsored by any political party. There's a reason in recent time the ANC group got against us and they fabricated lies against us and said, okay, they orchestrated lies against us and said we took money, $10,000 from the CDC government because we refused to go and camp and parade in New York. And we had our own reasons of doing that. We do not follow disenfranchised and disappointed drop out of any political party to just run our activities around. We from the heart, we believe in the truth. We evaluate issues before we get involved in it. If we do not have tangible evidence in our hands, we do not get involved.
I will
can I respond to that, Dennis?
Hold on, Savice, I'll give you two minutes to respond, but I got someone on the line. So I just want to make sure because I've not seen the person.
Okay.
Call out your name and where you calling from.
Hey, Mr. Jack, this is Wild Michael Gilman.
Michael
Hard Talk from Detroit, Michigan.
Michael, welcome to Focus on Liberia. You are live. Your questions are coming.
Well, thank you very much. I listened to quite a few of your panelists you have there, and I hear them talk about advocacy in Liberia and here in the diaspora and what have you. I like to emphasize what I always tell folks that follow GDA Hard Talk, that participate in the program as well, that advocacy is honesty and leadership is honesty. And in the absence of honesty in your advocacy, then it becomes fraudulent. It's fraud. All right. I'm not charging anybody with fraud here. Let me hasten to emphasize that.
Okay.
But advocacy in Liberia have taken a turn for self-aggrandizement. The cause for which people are advocating is at most time undefined. Undefined that it's like, let's throw everything, let's throw the kitchen sink, as it is said in politics, and whatever sticks, hold.
For stick.
Let it define what they want, or what we want. For instance, the advocacy for the implementation of the TRC, the full implementation of the TRC, the HR 1055 that we later ran with on social media and all of that. That document, if you read it, the document is flawed with information. It is flawed with information. You want me to state some of the flaws in there?
Right. I want just so, because we have one of our panelists just joining, so you can call back later when we get to that. But we get your point on the advocacy.
That's what happens if you have an opposing view to the conversation. You are not given time to expand.
No.
You know, I call your show about 3 weeks ago, and the lines kept dropping on me.
Right.
One of your folks called me and asked me if I would like to participate. I think it was Stephanie.
No, Mr. Gilman. Mr. Gilman,
send me a message. Yeah.
Mr. Gilman, there is nothing here that we don't hold any position here to say that you have a different view and we're trying to stop you. But you are discussing, you are saying, or some of the advocacy that they carry on, they are not honest. So we get that point, right? That's why we want to go back to our.
I'm not saying your panelists you have are not honest. I'm saying when the advocacy is not honest,
I get that.
It becomes fraudulent.
I get that.
When leadership, it becomes fraudulent. When leadership is not honest, it becomes fraudulent because
I get that, Michael.
You've taken. Yeah,
just conclude so that we can move on to the next caller.
Okay, so I was talking about, I don't want to leave this hanging about that document, the HR 1055. If you look at the HR 1055, what is flawed in there is stated clearly that 200,000 lives were taken as a result of the war in Sierra Leone and Liberia. All right, we all know there are 250,000 lives lost in Liberia alone. Read the document. Okay. Another thing in there, they said the document said it's urging the Liberian government to fully implement the TRC as well as urging the Liberian people.
Does that make it
implement how?
Right. Okay, Michael, you are referring to the document from the Congress.
Dennis.
So
I'm talking about HR 1055.
Right. I'm saying we're going to go into details, but we have our caller on we have our guests who just came in, and we want to put them on. So you can call back later when we get to those topics. Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you. All right. We've just been joined by our next panelist, Mrs. Jessica Jare Osterholt. She's affectionately called Lady J. Lady J, welcome to Focus on Liberia. Lady J, are you there? Welcome to Focus on Liberia. Lady, all right, Lady J. Okay, let me give this time to Mr. Emmanuel Savice, 1 minute to respond to the elections and the reports you were given from on the vote count or the election results.
Sure.
First of all, let me, Chief Kollie, I appreciate listening to you on how you feel about the report. Given this is my first time hearing your opinion about it. At the end of the day, I end up being right that His Excellency George Manuel, we are one of 14 counties. I think there's a fundamental difference between me and Chief Kollie. And I know the first thing we share in common is that we don't believe in the George Weah's presidency. That's the first thing we share in common. I've never thought that His Excellency George Manuel Weah would have been a better leader. Never thought that. But as an advocate, it is not my opinion that I should be reporting in terms of what was reported during elections. And let me tell you what we did that you guys didn't do. LTC had Kelvin Yoyo in Liberia monitoring the elections. So he was there until the elections results. And we brought it by video. When they were counting the ballots, how many votes George Weah got, how many Joseph Yuma Boakai got, and only 2 candidates I'm going to look at here. We were showing pictures when these things were being counted at polling stations. And our friends didn't like it because they thought we're lying. We're lying. Look, the first thing we need to admit that George Weah won the election fair and square. That's the first thing we need to admit. That elections, there was no cheating in it. The people were frustrated about the Unity Party-led government, all of the things they have done, and the only alternative they saw was George Manuel Weah. Whether you like it or I don't like it, it's not our part to say that the elections were fraudulent, because it was not. We had a representative from the Liberia Trust Communications in Liberia. Kelvin Yoyo monitored elections, brought up pictures, commentaries. We even conducted a live poll in Liberia in which George Weah again won in Montserrado County. We sponsored that ourselves. We don't ask anybody for anything. We did all that. So why should we lie to our listeners that George Weah was losing the elections, but somebody wanted him to win by way of cheating? I don't think that's fair. I think that's something that we need to stop reporting, because the truth is, Joseph Yuma Boakai did not give an alternative to the Liberian people. All of the corruption, there was no way that the old man, who in my belief was more qualified than George Manuel Weah, could have disassociated himself from all the bad practices of the Unity Party. He never resigned. He's still there. He collected $2.4 million a year. At the end of the day, he wanted to convince us that he's not Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, and the Liberian people didn't buy that. And just another 10 seconds here. Another reason in which they thought that I was swaying towards the George Weah administration is because of a dishonest statement from the vice president that George Manuel Weah had been in parliament, like we say here, but at the level of the House, and not one day he raised his hand to talk about issues that matter. And I thought he was pointing at the education of His Excellency George Manuel Weah, or his outspoken ability, or even his eloquence. When the truth is, we had Joseph Yuma Boakai as president of the Senate, and he was present with 64 concessions, not in conformity with the laws of the Republic of Liberia, passed right in front of his very eyes. He and I think Joseph Yuma Boakai would have been a better president, but it will always remain a fact that George Manuel Weah won the elections, and what we're reporting was accurate. At the end of the day, what we reported came true. In fact, we are the first media institution, home and abroad, to call the elections. Mr. And we Savice, knew that we are.
Mr. Savice,
can I have a say?
I will come to you, but Mr. Savice, before I go to that, I want a follow-up questions on. So going forward, what is the process of you vetting the information that you broadcast on your channel? And that question is going to go to all our panelists.
What do we vet? First of all, I never reported anything that was wrong in terms of the elections. Like I told you, we had a representative in Liberia.
Not just the elections. As talk show host, what is the process of vetting and validating the information you receive and that you put out on your media? And that's for everybody on the panel.
So for me personally, I don't rely on just the internet. We have reporters in Liberia. We've got Garrison Kukwejala that work with us. We also have Theo Davis, Esley Holders, and of course we got Kelvin Yoyo, who work with us as well. And I'm from the media environment. I work for the Inquirer newspaper. Just before coming to Canada, I've got professional colleagues that we hang here with. So we don't just report things that we don't know. And when it came to the elections, the video were evidence of what we're talking about.
All right. Jessica, are you on the line now? Jessica, can you hear us? And I don't want for us to go back to legislate or to the election. The elections are over. We're just using it as a backdrop to advance something. Jessica, can you hear us? Can you say something? All right. So let me go to you.
Please.
We have another caller on the line. Caller, 1 minute. Let me go to the hard truth. The hard truth, and you can use that to us as a segue. How do you vet information that you put out on your network? What is the process?
First of all, you asked a question before I go to that. You said, how did we transition? We did not have any political godfather, or we were not part of any political institution. What we were was, we did not, after doing all of our research on the leadership ability of President George Weah, we came out to understand that this man was not going to be the best option for our country, for the suffering people. So we started a grassroots movement that was not just on the internet, but that was on the ground, to make sure we have more interaction, to encourage our people to not vote. That didn't work. How do we vet our information? We vet our information by going to the opposing side of that information. Say, for example, when we wanted to know the issues before even Darius Dillon and the Liberty Party brought the issue of vote breaking and ballot stuffing, we raised funding and we have hired people who were independently on the ground, and they were giving clear information from police station voice of the mainstream media. So we work in the local community, get information from people that we sponsor to go for it. When it comes to issues that are on the paper, say for instance, when we decided to go into the $16 billion argument, and we decided to really know what went wrong, we had a contact within the central bank. In fact, matter of fact, if you don't know, I see a lot of people, which I'm happy of, that people grab the information or the name War and Economic Crime Code. Prior to the Hatchery coming up with the economic part of that discussion, it was only bring the War Crime Code. It was the Hatchery that said there are people, based on our reading of the TRC report, we realize that there are people that committed economic crimes, but not actually war crime. They did not slaughter people. So we said, if we want this thing to work, we have to add the economic portion. And we even established a movement for it in the United States, which is a 501c3 organization registered in the state of North Carolina. Lofa Julius can relate if you can get to him. That document is with Lofa Julius. So moving forward, we do not just grab the internet portion. We reach to the people involved. For instance, when the government said it was Senegal that sponsored the first trip to France, we were able to get a document from the central bank that opposed that view. And it became true that the government was lying. So we go for the information. We have people who are capable to give us nothing else but the truth. When the information reaches, or we even go to the people names in that document or whatsoever, to reach out to them and get their side of the story.
Thank you. Thank you. We got a caller on the line from Canada. That's Francis. Francis, you're live. Your question or comment?
I got a comment.
Sure.
I want to thank you guys for the show, but then I'll go to the point, because I'm not a talk show host, so I'm just going to go to the point. Mr. Savice and Mr. Maka Goodman just called right now. Mr. Savice and the two people made a very, very good point. And I hope after your show, go back to that comment they made. Our country is you're going in a direction where it's not good. We're seeing people inciting violence when they're doing their shows, or people yelling in the name of advocacy. And Savice made that point. It's pretty good. or in my opinion, it appears to be, many of these guys jumped on the street and screaming and yelling. They all promise, I will give you this position after this. And Mr. Simon, the key word is our term. Even the we are government, CDC, we hear pushing is our term. Don't get me wrong. I'm much I love the president, but at the same time, we hear the word is our time. Your time is finished. So I'm appealing to all talk show hosts. If you out there have your show and saying, same with the people out there, because when you inciting violence, there are two people on your show right now. If you go back to their show, if you listen to what they talk, it's all it just show that only inciting violence. It's not good for the people back in Liberia. So I appealing the comment made by Mr. Savice and Mr. Michael Gilmore, go back to it. You can see how best you can educate our people so this thing can be happening. It's your right to air your view, but at the same time, when you air your view, inciting violence in the society is bad. If you come with your facts or where you get your information is real. Because when you throw it out there, because it's what you believe, without checking it properly, it's not good. So that's what I have to say. Thanks.
Thank you so much. And your name is Francis Bio or Bio?
Yeah, Francis Bio.
And exactly where in Canada are you calling from?
Alberta, Canada.
Alberta. Thank you so much for your comment. Jessica, if you can get out and come back in, you may be able to get your audio, and make sure you press or use your cell phone audio to be able to join us. All right, let me go to our man, Max Mixer. Max, that's the same question about vetting the information that you put on the internet or you put on your show. That's a very crucial point, and you have that coming from and we're going to talk more about the kind of political dialogue that is going on, which Francis spoke about. But let me ask you on how you vet the information that is broadcast on your network.
Well, thank you once again. First of all, what we normally do is we have to vet ourselves. As a talk show host, you have to vet yourself first before even you vet the information that you receive. Now, during the campaign, when we before the campaign, we started to interview people back home, politicians as well. And what we heard was that this particular, the going election or the campaign process was going to be kind of, very, very high class, maybe different from all other campaigns and election process that have taken place. Now, given that information, we have decided, okay, but then what we will do is we will go on the ground. And so before even the political parties will have, launched their campaigns, we were already there. Wherein we because we told our followers that indeed we'll have the opportunity to bring before you every development that will be undertaken in Liberia with respect to the election process. So we went there, we witnessed, we carried live most of the let's say campaign process and the debates as well, presidential debates. Where we went, we also were able to bring that live to our international audience as well. And vetting information, especially for me, given the fact for me, this is not something that is actually difficult for me because for one fact, I learned it when I was doing my media studies. So if I receive the information, what I have to do, first of all, I have to counter check. Who gave me the information? How close are they to that particular information they have given me? I will investigate that first. And then before I go to whosoever that's perhaps attached to that information. So if that information is authenticated, then if I want to discuss it and bring people to talk about it, bring analysts to talk about it, then I can invite somebody. For example, I was always banking at the door of the former Minister of Gender and Children Protection, Julia Duncan Cassell. I was always banking on her door when I hear about rape issue and whatsoever. And I would bang on her door. I said, this is what we have seen on the newspaper. I want to talk about it on the show. What do you know about it? And then she'll give us the side of the ministry with respect to what they know about it and what they are doing and whatsoever. And sometimes I will invite herself to come and talk about it. And sometimes I invite the Liberia National Police. Of course, they too, I'm always banking on their doors. Even recently, I had the current chief spokesman of the police. This is the second time he's been on the Max K talk show as well, discussing those issues. So
and Max,
first of all, like I said, I will have to vet myself so that perhaps what I'm putting out there, it should be tangible, it should be consumable, so that people can hear it as a fact, and then before I go to the material and then bring it.
And Max, you mentioned
bring it to the public and we discuss it. So in that case, I mean, they have gone through the channel so that even if somebody want to ask or either want to challenge the information, I can actually find it very, very easy to go and forward the information. If there's any information that I need to do further investigation, like for example, I wouldn't just have discuss about the issue, for example, like what I say, climate change, without going to check the effect of climate change, especially relative to Africa.
Thank you, Max.
Africa is producing less of what is causing climate change, but we are taking more burden on it. So obviously, I will go and make a research whether on the internet and then speak to people who in the environmental area and invite them, hear from them, and then from there, this vetting process. That's how we do it here. So, if you ask the question, that's how we do it here. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Max. And I was trying to call you to a point while you were making your comments. Recently, you interviewed the police chief, and I watched that. Before that, Max, are you hearing me?
Yes, indeed, I'm hearing.
Before that, there was an information that was put out by some of the talk show hosts concerning a pastor who was being detained without charge in Pinsville. What did you find out about?
Question on that.
Yeah, right. So that's the kind of example we want to give.
Quite frankly, he said, "Well, to be honest, I am just hearing it on your show, and we haven't received any complaint or information to that effect in our office. But thank you for flagging that out, for asking me. We will do our own investigation." That's how it was.
Thank you. And that's one of the examples, because I read from some talk show hosts and some advocates that this pastor was being detained without charge, and other people came out with a counter narrative concerning why the pastor was detained. But the time is kind of fast spent. Let's go quickly into our roundtable. I know there have been some trending issues, and Mr. David Karpilee of the Hard Truth was kind of starting to talk about that. We have the issue of the allegedly missing 16 million, whether it's missing or still in the vault. We want to talk about that. There is the More Than Me Foundation and the ProPublica documentary. So let's do a quick roundtable. Let me go first on the Katie Myler and the ProPublica documentary. I want to go first to the Hard Truth, Mr. David Karpilee. You posted that you stand with Katie Myler. Do you actually understand what Katie has been accused of? I also heard from your partner, Chief Kollie, of the Hard Truth, that he implied that it is almost impossible for someone to come from the United States to molest someone in West Point. So let me start with you, David. Do you understand what Katie Myler has been accused of?
Definitely. I have done sufficient research on the topic, and like I said, we screen our information before going forward. We watched the documentary. We spoke to teachers within the More Than Me Foundation. We spoke to Katie Myers. We spoke to some of the girls that are in the video. And what we gathered was completely different from the narratives. If you follow this, it took 4 or 5 days before we even commented. But we watched the video immediately when it came out. So I don't know if you want me to quickly dive into it. I can go definitely ahead and dive into it. But let me just
what is Katie being accused of, and why is it that you are defending her?
First of all, Katie is being accused of child molestation and aiding and abetting the crime. That is what definitely they are saying. And let me use this time to tell my brother. Traditionally, we call him Uncle Max Mixer. he took as a really high feeling, and he said all kinds of stuff about me. But you see, this is why we call ourselves the hard truth. The truth is the truth. They say they that say the truth, they stand alone. We do not expect people to hawk the truth. But what we know will be when you say the truth, people will castigate you and people will come after you. There have been people that say we took money. There are people that say we are child molesters. But let me get to the core of this thing.
Sure.
Before I even talk about this, I wanted to know who are those people that Katie wanted to work with. Who is Katie? That was my first question.
Right.
And I read about Katie.
David.
Yeah.
I don't want to interrupt you, but I just want you to go straightly what Katie is accused of, and why is it that you think that she should be exonerated, or why are you standing with her?
Okay, first of all, that's why I wanted to know. Before, I wanted to know who was this lady. And she was accused of aiding and abetting, like she was literally the one that was covering up what Mr. McIntosh Johnson was doing. Right. So my thing was when I saw the video, or when I heard about it, I thought that Katie was the one that was recruiting this girl for some kind of sex trade or some kind of, organized crime. But that wasn't the issue, and I would recommend to the people that are going to talk, go back and watch. Katie was working, raising money, and Emmanuel McIntosh Johnson was the entrusted person who was McIntosh, another person that was already, before Katie, McIntosh was already in this community working with an NGO, and McIntosh used his position and abused it. Right. McIntosh abused his position. And it was again the More Than Me Foundation that reported to authority. You'll be surprised that even the gender ministry did not appear in court when McIntosh was put on trial. McIntosh was held in the Monrovia Central Prison and he died. Now, moving forward, people come up and watch a documentary of the situation that happened in 2014 that is under control, that was reported by the More Than Me Foundation, and they want to make it look like it's just happening. Let me first of all say our research proves that McIntosh Johnson is dead. He's no longer harmful. Our research also proved that there was no other person that was allegedly a male that was also involved. Our research also did not show us that Katie intentionally molested or sexually penetrated any of those girls. No. The videos with Katie in bed with those kids is not video or picture. Those pictures were posted on Facebook by Katie herself. I wouldn't think that Katie would be molesting and at the same time taking picture of herself and at the same time putting them on Facebook. Now, some of these people, the difference between our view, we are asking that, look, this happened in 2014. The perpetrator was arrested, placed behind bars, and he died. He's no longer harmful to the system. We understand.
So let's move ahead. That's basically what you're saying.
Just moving ahead.
Right. I want you to wrap that up so we can have a follow-on.
We said the other folks are saying shut down the More Than Me Foundation. We are saying no. Do not shut down the More Than Me Foundation, because the More Than Me Foundation is working with more than 19 schools.
Should they hold Katie accountable? That's the main thing I want you to address quickly so I can move on to the next.
Katie, up to now, there has been no definite investigation that point that Katie molested any of those girls, or she intentionally knew that Mr. Johnson was molesting those girls and she covered it up.
Okay, so, thank you.
Until that, I don't think Katie as an individual should be held liable or the program should be shut down. There are tons of girls benefiting that will have to go back to the street if that is shut down.
Thank you. Let me see if we still have our caller on the line. That's Mr. Wilton Carter from Connecticut. Wilton, are you on the line? All right, let me go to Mr. Max Mixer. You came hard at the hard truth of Mr. Karpilee when he said he was standing with Katie. Why are you so angry with David?
Okay,
or his
first of all,
opinion.
let me, I will remain on my standpoint. The the ProPublica documentary is shocking, is sickening. As a father, as a humanitarian, I will condemn it, and I will continue to condemn it. The reason I had interest in not just talking, but to be on the ground in Liberia to give back to Wales Liberia Connect is because I have found that indeed there is no need to just sit and talk and talk and talk. We should put some action together. That's why we went on the ground to get involved and increase awareness raising on the prevention of HIV and AIDS and all sexually transmitted diseases. Since 2011, we've been going there and we've been going to villages. Now, we decided to give back in that way. When the Ebola strikes, nearly 3 tons of assorted items, we collected them here and shipped them to Liberia to contribute to that. I'm a charity worker, and I know how, as far as my training now is concerned, I know how to run the charity and I know how to manage people. That include whether difficult or soft volunteers as well. Let me go back to this. Let me just intertwine what happened with Oxfam. This we're talking about Katie and the MTM here. That's 4 years ago. The issue that is still hanging on Oxfam International happened almost 8 years ago. It was this year, February, March, April. The issue came up. The issue of sexual abuse on girls in Haiti. And what happened? Boom. The first person that stood up was the international executive director. He stood up, he stood down. Like it was too shameful. And then major sponsors started standing down. Those that were actually putting their money in the work of the Oxfam. Even here in the United Kingdom, those that signed up that every month, like for example, I signed up every month to at least pay $5 or £5 to Plan International. So those people started standing down and said, no, this is not something that we're supposed to take part in. Until you can finish with the investigation, we are backing up. We're not carrying your support. The more than me, that's just 4 years ago. So that's not anything that will say somebody is an old documentary. No. The documentary are historical facts, are historical documents. That's why they call them documentary. You can go back to the First World War and still punish somebody here, like how a 70 years old was sentenced, let's say this year, April, in the United Kingdom here for his role in the Second World War. So you see, we can still go back. I will continue to remain on my position. For you to have come out and say that you stand with Katie Miller, it hurt me as a father. It hurt me as a concerned citizen of Liberia. It hurt me as a charity worker, as a humanitarian. Because the fact of the matter, this is it. We saw it. There's nothing to go do research about. Myself, when the documentary came, I watched it, and I tried ringing their offices many times. I couldn't get anybody. I wanted to speak to them first. Although the documentary, as far as the documentary is concerned, there's nothing to even say, oh, this story is not true. Also, we heard the interview with Henry Costa in the same documentary. We heard interview from other people in the same documentary. The interview of staff in the same documentary. So that at the end of the day, that is a substantial proof. Now, given that scenario, and then looking at what we saw also, most of the let's say board members stood down, and these are American people that own personal friends. Some of them are personal friends that she brought on board. They said, no, we can't continue with this. I'm going to step down. People started stepping down. And she also stood down. Now, nobody, including her sponsors, those are even giving money in, nobody came on the radio to say, oh, no matter what Katie Miller and the organization did, I stand by them. This our brother, Liberian brother, somebody who say he advocating for social justice, somebody who say he's there to stand for the voiceless people, coming out to say, I stand with Katie. That didn't go down well with me. And that didn't go down well with many, many Liberians. I was angry. I'm angry. Now until this brother can even retract what he said. It's an abuse to the children that have been abused. It's an abuse to the parents of those children. It's a complete abuse to even the children that died that we heard allegedly were assaulted by this man. It's an abuse to the entire nation, my brother, for what you did. And I'm going to continue to stand on it. That unless you report that statement, that you stand, you don't even know. Maybe you don't even know the meaning of I stand with this individual. Why would I be accused? You just call me here, nephew or so. Why would your nephew be accused of causing the heinous crimes? And then you say, and everybody is running away from your nephew, and you say, "Oh, I stand with my nephew." Let me give you another example. There was.
Can I respond,
Mr. Max?
This last year, he was accused of sexually molesting.
Max. All right. Let me go to before you respond.
Hunting your family members as well. This man blew he on a cover. He left the country. He flew out. And then they caught the daughter, and they were asking the daughter, "Oh, this is why your father did, and what is your feeling about it?" He said, "Well, to be honest with you, I'm calling on my father to come back wherever he let him come back right now in this country. If it is true that my father actually, if it is investigated that my father actually abused the boys, those boys that coming out, those men that coming out, I am done with him. He is no longer my father." That lady didn't say I will stand with my father till death. No way.
Thank you. Let me go to Emmanuel before he gets bored.
Out when
Emmanuel,
sir.
Let me go to Emmanuel Savice on that. Max, I'm sorry I had to mute you because you are not getting me when I'm talking while you are talking. So Emmanuel, More Than Me Foundation to issue an apology, which is basically they were saying this happened, but Time magazine did not get our side of the story, and the documentary also underestimated the work that we did. What's your view? And those children too were allegedly molested while in the care of the More Than Me Foundation. Why, in your view, that Katie should or shouldn't be held accountable?
Well, you see, it worked both ways. It's like the Republican and Democrat debate of abortion. The Republican would say, the Bible says, or it's not right, or don't abort a baby, straight up, and then Democrats say, what if your father raped you? What if you got raped by somebody else? Or what if you are not in good health? So both sides have good arguments on the issue of the abortion. And I brought that analogy to come to the fact that the More Than Me Foundation was in Liberia for a very good reason. They came to help. They came to do something for us. They wanted to help the children of Liberia. The lady raised a lot of money. Here is what I have a problem with. When these things happen, I don't look at the charity organization. I look at the government of the Republic of Liberia. And let me just backtrack to around 2011 when Jua Howard Taylor had the opportunity of going to a studio in which she was questioned about the many girlfriends that our President Charles Taylor had, including 16, 17, 18, 19 years old. And I am a witness of a girl who left Jolico, you can put me on record for that, that went to stay with Charles Taylor and became the girlfriend of Charles Taylor. And this guy is the president of the Republic of Liberia. And the girl is 16 years old. Joy Howard Taylor said to all of us in Liberia that when she questioned her husband at the time, her husband said, look, I don't go looking for these children. It's part of the presidency. They bring them to me. It's an abuse of the children of the Republic of Liberia from the president of the Republic of Liberia at the time. Now we are blaming the More Than Me Foundation. I agree with David that they came for the right reason. Don't close them. Don't close the More Than Me Foundation. I also agree with Max Kim Mixer that As a father, you know, there's no excuse for anything like that happening to these children. But my point here, my brother, instead of me watching more than me, as Liberians advocate, what have we done? And that's why I've always remained repetitive with my advocacy. There is Mariah Willie, or ex-representative in his 50s, that impregnated his 13-year-old niece, and the Liberian National Police refused to investigate. In fact, he was arrested for obstruction of the investigation instead of charging for the outright abuse of a girl who is pregnant. In fact, the evidence were not even gathered by them. So my point is, the TRC report became the most important thing that we need to address. People don't understand. The TRC report got a lot of things in it. I hear the hard truth. David said they brought about economic crimes court. That's not true. It's in the TRC document. They want a special code to address economic crimes. In fact, people like Tegbet Doe, people like Edwin Snow, people like Emma Sawyer, you've got Kamina Wise, you've got all the other people that did all this wrong to Liberia or Liberians. They are in that report. The TRC report also called for the rehabilitation of child soldiers like McIntosh, who was once a child soldier, who instead of being integrated in society by being rehabilitated, ended up taking a position of trust and continue the same habit as a child soldier into his adulthood that affected people. Now, the question is, are we able to connect the attitude of McIntosh with that of the Modern Mean Foundation? Just because it was done by McIntosh does not mean necessarily that Katie Mayer was in the know. However, we are being told that she brought this issue up in 2014. So what is failing us is not the Modern Mean Foundation, it's not Kitty, it's not the late McIntosh, it's the government of the Republic of Liberia and the Liberia National Police. That's what's failing, Dennis. That's what we need to look at.
Thank you. Let me go to a caller on the line, Mr. Wilton Kelter from the state of Connecticut. Wilton, are you still there? There's a caller on the line. Caller, are you still on the line? All right. We don't want to keep this as a dialogue. We have more trending issues to go.
But I have to respond. I have to respond. It's just honest that I do that.
Yeah, you will respond, but I want to wrap that up in your question to you about the 16 billion, because this is something that we need to talk about too. So just touch on the Katie issue briefly, and then you can talk about, or David can talk about the 16 billion. What's up with that?
First of all, let me say thank you to Mr. Savice, and let me say thank you to everybody. Let me even say thank you to Max, because sometimes it's good to have this kind of reaction. Then you realize that you have people listening when you talk. My point is, Mr. Max Mixer did not come up to say there is anything in that documentary that points out that Katie was involved directly or indirectly in molesting the kid. Even the nurse said she did not tell Katie. So in my view, nurses are patient advocates. So the nurse sitting on camera to say she treated 12 and 13 years old after they were sexually abused, did not report it to the national police, did not report it to authority. She said she was protecting her job. Then we go forward, we look at the gender ministry after this case was brought to their attention. They refused to go to court. They refused to represent the national police. We have the top talking Solomon George from the West Point. He said nothing. We have the police depot that did nothing. It is a big shame. It is a big shame. To come and try to entangle, like Mr. Savice said, there is a former representative on the record of impregnated a 13 years old. I did not see Mr. Mixer so much angry.
Wow. But then you're not following me, my dear. I am only even up to now. I even wrote personally letter. I wrote a letter. Right now, I got posted all the way in my
Mr. Mixer, let him finish.
Right. When the nurse told us on document that she refused to report rape to the proper authority.
And David, before you continue, we got a call on the line. But this is the point, right? We should not separate Kelly Myler from the More Than Me Foundation. The children were entrusted. They were entrusted in the hands of More Than Me Foundation. In the process,
but Dennis,
let me land. In the process, they were abused, and the case went to court. According to the documentary, there was a hung jury. So when the kids are entrusted, just like the Catholic Church, there are good reasons why they go to this country. They have the best schools, the best hospitals, sometimes the best church when it comes to organization and funding. But yet in the process, when Catholic priests allegedly abuses a child, it is investigated. To say that or to imply that because these things are going on by Liberians, legislators, teachers, or because those girls were in dire need and Katie saw the need and went in to help, if wrongs are done in the process, it doesn't mean we shouldn't look at them and hold the perpetrators.
There is nothing in the documentary that said that Katie was directly molesting these girls.
I agree.
As a father of 4 beautiful girls, I challenged Mr. Mixer and the shutdown movement to come up to show me the alternative means. First of all, they should prove where Miss Katie Miller was directly involved.
You know what they call CEO and founder?
Secondly, they should show us the alternative, because once that program is shut down, the thousands of girls are benefiting. They are going to go back in the street, and that is what we are advocating against.
All right, thank you. Let me go to Mr. Kelter again. I understand you are still on the line. Wilter Kelter, please, your comments or question. Again, Mr. Kedum, you can call back. You can drop the line and call back, and then we should be able to take you. But right now, we are not hearing you on the line. All right. I don't want us to dwell too much. Let's go. Another trending issue is about the 16 billion.
Yes, but Dennis, before the 16 billion, I cannot be a member of the partner, and I cannot even have my voice heard about this particular more than the issue.
I agree, Kollie.
Everyone else about it.
Proof has spoken twice, but go ahead.
And you cannot even give me a second or so to talk about
Sure.
it. First, thank you to everyone else who made their part, and one person who highlighted some positive issues. Although we disagree at some point in time, I want to appreciate Emmanuel Savice for the question, what have we done? And that is a question we've been asking over the past few days. I took a serious exception of the march, the Black rally these few days by Liberian women and young men in the Princeton Street of Monrovia demanding the closure of the More Than Me Foundation. Now, let's look at this on a clear basis. I listened to that position statement. Position statement number 1 stated that they should immediately revoke the license. What does the revoking of the license has to do with the rape case of these children? Number 2, on the position statement was a dispute over the property. What does dispute over that property has to do with the rape of those children? Position statement number 3, there are more qualified Liberian women to run the institution than Katie Myler. What does that have to do with the rape of these children? Position statement number 4, they should give them an audit report of the financial statement of the More Than Me Foundation. What does those 4 top position statements have to do with the rape of these children? That was the major question. Then this tell us that there's one David, I don't know, Egne David or Ellen David, whichever. What?
Erica.
Good, Erica David, who claims that the property is her property. Now, go to Liberia and orchestrate lies to bring forth information to tarnish the character of Katie Myler. Let me tell you something. If the institution is being sued, there have up to now been no single Liberians who consider themselves advocate for child rights or women rights or gender-based violence issue in Liberia that have filed lawsuit against the More Than Me Foundation. You cannot be rich hunting Katie Myler, file lawsuit against the institution, and use the legal process to push forward your grievances. But you cannot take an individual who came from her country, You know, I like the statement from Lucky, may his soul recipe Lucky to be. He said, not every black man is my brother, and not every white man is my enemy. Today, everyone looking at Katie Miller. I received a call from Liberia. Someone who worked at the Modern Me Foundation said the Liberian people don't understand. They feel like Macintosh is a man that Katie Miller brought from America who went to Liberia to rape the children. So can you imagine? I listened to another little girl who attended the Modern Me Foundation. She said, people don't know how this thing started. They don't even know how far the thing go. They just take it and make conclusive decision. The lady is a beneficiary of the Modern Me Foundation. This case, it is on record. Macintosh was working for an NGO. He was receiving funds. He even named one of his children after the guy, I think there's a lady from Europe who was supporting his initiative in the West Point. He was being a volunteer. The people considered him as the best individual in our community, and they entrusted him. He was being molesting these children. He used that as a mean, not because a white man went to Liberia, then a Liberian man would rape Liberian children.
Point of attention, please.
Lady. Let's leave Katie Miller out of it. Mark Mason or whoever who are so mad. Let us file a lawsuit against the institution. Then we are making logical implication on the matter.
Thank you. So, but
More Than Me Foundation facility, let's file a lawsuit against More Than Me.
Just for a second here, Dennis, I'm sorry to cut you there, Kevin. Just for a second.
Savice, hold on. The guests are calling. Let me get chance for guests.
Hello?
Hello, your name and where you calling from?
I'm calling from Silver Street, Liberia. My name is Musu. I just want to make a comment what David had just said, Chief Kollie. I'm a mother. If I take my children and somebody taking care of my children and somebody in that organization, you are responsible for, you are there to look after those children, and you know something is going on with those children. Okay, you ask this guy, he said, oh, I didn't do it, he denied it, and finally, you pick on the case and you carry the case up that those children were molested and raped and with AIDS and all kinds of things. What were the other? With a mother, you will see that thing in your stomach. So what were the other? Kelly is responsible because number one, the Kelly was going to force when the things start coming on, even when she went to she reported it. She reported a state she was supposed to stay on grass. You say, I will not. You have to stay away from this from the organization. Don't come near this place anymore. I don't want to see you around those children. But at the same time, he was still there. They were still hokey-pokey. So David cannot tell me that Chief Kollie said the black moves there. But Chief Kollie tried to say, you know how long it takes to carry a child in your stomach for 9 months? For somebody to infect that child with disease and your child died?
First thing,
you know what I mean?
Okay, hold on. Thank you, Musu, for your input.
I'll call to a point, Dennis.
Right. Let me get one more caller on the line, then we can discuss that.
Yeah, Mr. Dennis, this is Wilton.
Finally, we got Wilton. Wilton, where are you calling from?
Connecticut.
Your question or comment, please.
Yeah, my comment is towards Mr. Kollie, Chief Kollie, and David Karpilee. You know, from the initial stage of the conversation, they were talking about how they get the information and how they pass the information on, and the information they believe to be true information. And I just want to say that most of the things they put out there have no facts in it. One of the things is David said the president invested or stole the Liberian people $6 million. He did in his house with Liberian people $6 million. He does not have any evidence. He does not even know whether the president stole the money, but he put it out there. And what the other caller said to him, that remember the Rwanda crisis, it was a journalist that went out there and said something, and the people over there start killing each other. It was just one journalist that said that. You understand? So the things that we put out
on social media in the name of advocacy. We think we're helping our Liberian brothers and sisters, or we're helping the country. We may well be doing our country even more harm than good. So, I mean, one of the things you have to have evidence, true facts. You got to be very, or genuine when it comes to your talk show, so that when people sit on your talk show, they can go there and analyze and give their input to, because you're saying something that is true, not because you hate this president or you hate this government. You should be saying all kinds of negative things. And I like what Mr. Savice said, that we should stay away from this politics of it being part of a political institute or be part of a political party or whatever, or have some political interest. Let us talk, get the talk show as we get those factual information. As far as the killing stuff concerned, like Savice, I concur with him. I mean, it's kind of for both ways. Now, it's not a win-win for the girls in Liberia, because if they shut that program down, I know hundreds of thousands of them will be out of school or will all support to go to school. And on the other side again, it would not serve as a deterrent for wannabe rapists or all the people that are raping young girls in Liberia. It will be like, okay, you can get away with stuff. But we got to look at the bigger picture. Kattie's intention was to come and help Liberians. She didn't connive with that guy to say, let's go and start raping young girls and young girls in the school and all that. You understand? He did it at his own, selfish and kind of a crazy at it. But at the end of the day, he was prosecuted because she brought this case out to the attention of the authority. He was prosecuted. He died in prison, and we know the story. But why are we now shifting blame on her for something that maybe she didn't know about, and she didn't sit on it? She brought it out. I think what we should do now is to be thorough with institutions that come into Liberia, and even institutions that are in Liberia, and not only institutions, but citizens that are taking advantage of young girls and young boys in Liberia. You understand? They should be prosecuted once they are accused and brought to justice and found guilty. They should be prosecuted to stop the kind of the bad behavior that is happening in the country. Because every time you hear on social media about rape and this. Thank you, Mr. Dennis.
Thank you. Right, and Jessica, Savice, I'm coming right back to you. Jessica, your audio is still not on. You have to click allow computer audio so you can be able to talk. If you are not, please get out and log in again, and make sure you click allow computer speaker audio, something like that.
Or to the point of interjection.
Let Mr. Savice finish before you come in. And Mr. Max, because when you are talking, because of the technical difficulty you have, we have no way of interjecting. So please be very brief so that you can allow us, you can hear me what I'm saying. Mr. Savice, your question, I know a lot have been said.
All right, I'm not sure what you want me to talk about right now, but I've already given you my position on the More Than Me Foundation,
you wanted to interject something, and we had to
well, I really wanted both parties to know that they have a great argument in this debate. Chief Kollie is protecting More Than Me, standing with her, because if you look at organization the way they are, we got to understand one thing. I'm a father too, so I listen to Musu Benson. She's a lovely lady. She supports War Crime School. We work together at some point. But when you incorporate these organizations, I have a business here in Canada. My business is incorporated. And nobody hold me liable personally for anything that happened because of the incorporation. So we got to understand not the logical aspect, but basically the legal aspect of those organizations. If you look at some of the things that went on with the More Than Me, it's more than just abusing those girls. It's the fact that the money being raised were going back to the United States of America. Look at your board. You got 6 people from the United States of America when we have competent people right in Liberia that could serve on the board. So we look at these things, we leave it, we forget it, and then we just incorporate into our own society where many of us see all of these things going wrong. So I know Max Mixer has a point and Chief Kollie has a point, but at the end of the day, it will be our government that have failed us first before we start to think about the More Than Me Foundation and Katie Meyer.
All right. So in your view, because we still don't know the end of the investigation, should this organizations be investigated so that we can find out if Katie is liable, if she was culpable, or if she aided or in any way cover anything up. Because as we understood, she had a intimate relationship with McIntosh. So what role, what do you expect? Should it be a retrial, or where do we go? Or just say, well, our own people doing it too?
And you see, Dennis, I've got that part where it's appealing to many people to start to look at Katie as somebody who was dating the individual that apparently infected all these children. So I got that part. But let's think about it here. When has it become wrong for somebody who is an adult to date another person? In fact, it's probably not even illegal for a married woman to date somebody else. So you're talking about two individuals meeting and doing their things. That is not the problem here. The problem is we've got an individual that worked for this organization that basically raped children. Whether Katie is in the know or not, we will have to investigate these things. We cannot conclude as advocates, and that's why I kind of agree with both people. But at the end of the day, there are three different kind of advocates. The first one was Sawa, who got the money, and they are not the best advocate. They'll look at Katie Mayer and say, you know what, we love you, you're doing great job, and then they get their share and they start to promote Katie Mayer from one aspect. The second aspect is the advocate that will see the ills in society and connect it to government. And we've got advocates that everything that happens is government. Yes, the presidency is imperial, but we've got three branches of government. The Liberian National Police, by virtue of the fact, is under the Government Republic of Liberia because of their appointment. In other countries, you won't see that. But here is the case where these things were reported and the LMP did nothing about it. So it's a system failure, my brother. It is not just more than me. And that's what I'm trying to point out here.
Thank you. And we are still, we are going way over our time. Let me hear from Max Mixer on this.
Thank you, Dennis. I think sometimes when you're discussing issues like this, sometimes you don't try to involve education, just common sense. I want first of all, the third party, or working party to Facebook, it was Cambridge Analytica. When the data breach issue came out, Cambridge Analytica came high in the picture. At the end of the day, the entire Cambridge Analytica went down. Facebook took the whole blame. Who did they call on at the Congress 3 times to go and give testimony? It was who? The founder of Facebook, Mark Zuckerberg. Who did let's say United Kingdom call upon to come and talk about the data breach issue? They call Facebook, and who is responsible for Facebook? It is Cambridge Analytica. Now, I'm trying to educate you now that when you are a founder, like for example, right now, if I don't know how they call it, hard talk is or truth talk or so, if you guys become legitimate and register, and you have a CEO, you have the executive there at the end of the day, even if the volunteer happen to go and cause problem out there, it will reflect on the organization and who they are. Who are they going to contact to get information? It is the CEO, it is the board, and the CEO represent the board. In the charity running, when this thing happens, the head will take the blame. It's the same thing we're talking about here. We're talking about $16 billion, right? Which we'll come and talk about a little bit. But who are they bringing in the picture? It's the president. We are saying when we came out the last time after watching the documentary, we condemned the act. And we say we vehemently against it. What we decided to do is the way forward, we decided, okay, you know why? As far as where it is now, since it has come to light, please, right now, what we want is for the government to take immediate responsibility. One, do not shut the schools down. There's too many schools. So do not shut it down, but institute or put an interim administration together right away to start running the school. Number 2, ask the entire board to step down and take the responsibility from them. Number 3, their lessons as registered in Liberia should be revoked. But then the operational aspect of the school should continue until the investigation is finished. If the investigation is done and the government found it expedient that they can continue going, fine. And then number 4, that every child should be, if they even they have been tested, they should be retested. And even those that were tested yesterday and left the school, they should be retested. And if at all any of the children are connected to what happened due to the death of Mr. McIntosh, then the charity should take the responsibility from now to, depending on the gravity of the result, from now to the death of that individual. That's what we say.
Thank you. And we are almost at the end. If you are just joining us, this is Focus on Liberia. This is part 1 of hosting our host. That's a collaboration among the Liberian talk show hosts. We are so sorry that our panelist, Mrs. Jessica Jare Osterholt, that's Lady J from Everything Liberia. She's having technical difficulties, so we're not being able to hear her. So, but I know we can go on and on. There are more issues that we wanted to discuss, but we are unfortunately out of time. These are all busy talk show hosts. I don't want to keep you too long. So quickly before I ask you for your final comments, let's go around the room and tell me about your favorite Liberian dish, your favorite Liberian artist, and what else you do when you're not having a talk show. 1 minute each. Let's start with you, Mr. David Karpilee.
So what my favorite Liberian dish? I love what is called stew jack bonner. You know what that is?
Say that again.
Stew jack bonner. You know what that is?
It got to do with oil soup.
Yeah, with oil soup with rice. You know that comes from Cape Mount. So I was laughing like he know that soup.
What do you think? I don't know.
When I'm not doing talk show, I'm actually at work or taking care of my girls. They really they give me a lot of activities to do.
All right.
Again, let me just before I don't know if this is my parting comment.
No, it's not. I want to go to Lady J. She just joined us. It's unfortunate that she's just joining us. Lady J.
Yeah.
All right. So yours is 2-in-1. Your introductory comments, and just I know you listen to bits of pieces, so just drop some comments.
Okay, so I'm Lady J of Everything Liberia. I've run my talk show for about a year plus now, and I talk about issues that people usually want to sweep under the rug, like rape, domestic violence. I'm currently researching and working on the Katie Myler topic that's going on right now about the rape and the neglect of the girls in More Than Me Academy. That's what I do. I didn't get a question, so I wouldn't know what to deliberate on.
Right. Okay. What's your opinion on it? Because we've been talking about the Katie Myler case. That's one. What's your opinion on that? And what's the purpose of your show, and how you what's your goal? Where you hope to take it going forward?
Well, I want to be looked upon as an advocate. So the purpose of my show is to create awareness all the time, politics across the board, just to make sure I create some sort of awareness so that people kind of know what's going on in Liberia, and people who don't have the opportunity to do live, they can also be able to have that opportunity to come on my shows and be able to talk about issues that matters. Where do I want to see myself? I would like to see myself on a bigger stage or a bigger platform where I can actually touch lives in regards to nonprofit and humanitarian work.
And your comments on the Katie Myler situation?
Yeah, I think it's unfortunate that we have this white inferior complex where people of the different color skin that is non-Negro can go into Liberia and do things, and we allow them to do it. I feel that this is a different time in Liberia right now where rape is not going to be allowed, and our children are not going to be treated the way they are treated. Unfortunately, for this case, 3 kids are already dead based on them being infected with AIDS, and also the ones that are also infected. So I wouldn't recommend that the government closes the school, but I recommend that Kate is brought under some investigation, and there's some other done in regards to what has taken place. It's sad for the families and for the girls that have had to go through this trauma that has happened to them, especially the ones that are gone.
Thank you. Let me go to you, Savice. Your final comments, your favorite dish, and your favorite artist.
My favorite dish is dry rice fried fish, my brother. That's you can cook that for me every day. I will have it. My favorite artist is No More, and you're talking about. You know what? I'll leave it right there. I don't want tears rolling from my eyes, but that's my favorite dish. Dry rice and fried fish.
What's about you, Max? Your favorite dish, your favorite artist, and what you do for fun?
Actually, I'd rather leave the artist one side as a DJ myself. I would leave that one side.
Okay.
Favorite dish is actually in Kisi. It's called pillow. It's a vegetable, very green-like, and you have to slice it very well and with lots of meat. If I'm not doing my talk show, what I engage in, because I run a charity between the UK and Liberia, I goes around to talk about the charity and try to look for donations and things. As we speak right now, donations are for July 26th. Unfortunately, they got there late, so we decided to pack it now and wait for the donation for the Christmas. So when we go this Christmas, again, as we've been doing for the past 5 years, we will go to hospitals and distribute, and go to orphanages as well and distribute everything from newborn baby clothes to adult shoes, everything. That's what I do if I am not doing my radio show, because at the moment I am doing part-time, so I'm not in school.
Thank you. David? Oh, no, Chief Kollie.
Yeah. Thank you. And all I wanted to request is Lady J should please make public the resource where she found out that 3 kids were, infected and died from the HIV at the moment. We need that resource made public.
You need to watch the video again, the documentary.
I think you need to watch the video. I don't think I need to go into this, but if you do want to argue with me, because I feel that's what you want to do, we can meet on the 11-3 show, and then we can go at it, because I think that's what you want to do.
All right.
Just a reference, the documentary is so simple.
Okay.
Chief Kollie, I want to know what you like to eat, my brother.
No, the documentary is there though. So for you coming out and saying that you want me to give you proof of that, I think that's unfortunate, because you're supposed to also someone that is well read.
Lady J,
people
Chief
are
Kollie.
using it to gain relevance.
Chief Kollie.
Okay? To know that. And most of you guys want to tap into this because you want to gain relevance. And that
no, it's not about gaining relevance. There's nothing about gaining relevance.
What would I get from people? I want my own
properly. Do not fabricate.
Chief Kollie.
Okay.
Chief Kollie,
for more than me team, I was already here. So it's not about gaining relevance. I think it's disrespectful for you to think that because I'm a lady, I'm trying to gain relevance of this case. I think that's very disrespectful for you to say.
All right.
Why would you put me the card?
Chief Kollie, your favorite dish?
I feel juice are dry with real oil.
Thank you so much. Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, we want to thank you so much for the time for appearing. This is our part 1 of our collaboration with talk show hosts. Next week, we're going to have other hosts coming on to share their experience, to discuss the same issue we've discussed today, and also go into some trending issue. So before I let you go, just 30 seconds, starting with you, Mr. Savice, your final words.
Thank you very much. Let me just say thank you to the entire panelists. I appreciate the fact that you guys were on. I'm honored to be here with you. In spite of our differences, at least we all have one thing at heart. And like we talked about yesterday, Dennis, even the rebels that came to Liberia, they said they have Liberia hot. That's why they started war. Before I leave, it would be unfair to all of those advocating for war crimes court or economic crimes court to not know about what's going on. On November 12th, we'll be in Liberia. rallying and at the same time memorializing the death of 250,000 people. We will end up at the Antoinette Topman Stadium, and we will be petitioning the government of the Republic of Liberia, demanding this time around war and economic crimes code. At the same time, we will be at the United Nations Human Rights Committee and all international partners, including the U.S. Embassy and European Union. We ask all Liberians, including all of you guys, to join us as we memorialize the death of 250,000 Liberians that died during the war. The rally is November 12th. Thank you, and I appreciate being a part of this panel.
Thank you. Lady J, your final thoughts, 30 seconds.
Yes, thanks for allowing me on the show. I look forward to coming on the 11-3 show that's coming on soon. I want to say, please, there is a fight going on right now for girls that have been raped, infected with AIDS, and some have died. Please join our rally as well. You can go on our page, No More Rape. More Than Rape, More Than Sad is on Facebook. You can come to my page and you will see it. And we have all the information on there of where the protest will be going on. Please come and let's show justice for these girls.
David, final thoughts?
Thank you so much. I really appreciate everybody. Chief Kollie, my boss, my big brother, Max Mixer, my uncle, and the angry man. Lady J, thanks everybody. I'm really excited. But again, we have to agree to this. This is David Karpilee. I had nothing in my heart. They had to have nothing in our heart for nobody. We standing for nothing else but the truth. Mr. Dennis, we appreciate you. Miss Central, everybody, we appreciate. Let me say this before I leave. We will all go down 6 feet one day. We want to leave a country behind void of injustice. That is the reason why it was wrong yesterday for 250,000 plus people to die. If it was wrong for half of them to be women and be raped, it is wrong for the women or the kids that got raped at More Than Me. But let us all look at the bigger picture. If More Than Me goes down, those kids that never had the opportunity to attend convent, CWA, JJ Roberts and all those schools that you name, they are going back to sell cold water. They are the ones we're talking about. And we want to say, if at any point it is clearly spelled out that Katie intentionally penetrated any of those girls, we will want her to be brought to justice. But let us look at the future of our girls and stand for them. As a father of 4 beautiful girls, I cannot gamble girls' education. And thank you.
Thank you. Chief Kollie, your final thoughts.
First, I want to appreciate every Liberians watching us around the world, and both in and out of the United States. And I want to appreciate Mark Mesa, Lady J, and the honorable man Emmanuel Savice, and you, Dennis Ja, and the rest of your crew back there who made this day a possibility to the Liberian people. And also my friend and brother David Karpilee from the Hard Truth. We have one thing in common as individuals who are on this platform is the Republic of Liberia. The love of liberty is what brought us as a nation. We have to show that love unconditionally. We have to also respect each other. I respect ladies. I respect Lady J. My statements, have to do with the issue that affect our society and how many people in the society are using this as a means to gain relevance. I did not say you directly, Lady J, unless that is what is implied. I did not say you directly, Mixer, but the issue is there are people who are using it to gain relevance in society. And there are people who are using it to undermine our society. There are people who are using it for political gain because they know when this institution is closed down, it's going to put more pressure on George Weah administration when it comes to education. Because even with the institution functioning, there are a lot of kids in Liberia now who are out of school and their parents cannot afford their school fees. So tell me the hundreds and thousands of beneficiaries from the More Than Me joining these kids, tell me what the chaos is going to be on George Weah and the Ministry of Education in Liberia. We have to be very strategic. We have to be very professional when it comes to dealing with this issue. I call on all meaningful Liberians, if we want to, we can carry on a petition to file a lawsuit against the institution. That is optional, but let us be individual. If Katie is the face of the institution, if you file a lawsuit, the face of the institution will appear in a code of competent jurisdiction and justice will be prevailed. Long live Liberia, long live our advocacy for social justice for Liberia. I appreciate all of you and have a wonderful rest of the week. God bless you.
Thank you. Next week, we're going to have Mr. Gibson W. Jeru, he will be appearing. Mr. Al Fadiga will also be appearing. Ms. Bali from Europe, that's Bali Wiatoba, and also Classic D from Canada will be right here. And that's the information I have now. I'm going to get more information from my my people who are working in the background. Until then, we want to say thank you, gentlemen. We want to say thank you so much for honoring our call to come here and collaborate as all talk show hosts. One thing we all have in common, and I see it when you do your show, is the passion, the love for our country. So that at the end of the day, even when we disagree, we know that the common denominator is Liberia, so that our glorious land of liberty can be what we all want it to be. We also want to thank those who are watching us on Facebook and everywhere. We want to say thank you so much. It's because of you that we are here. I want to say special thank you to all members of my team, including my co-host, Danielle Knuckles, who is on short break today. We also say thank you to the lady who does all the work behind the scene, Mrs. Stephanie Setro. Until then, from all of us, my name is Dennis Jar, and I say good night and God bless you.